Hello, my name is Nicholas Clary from Cobridge Consulting, and I'm going to present a topic about local representation in Korea, also known as the license holder. During this presentation, we'll cover different topics such as definitions, the duties of the parties involved, how to change the representation, how to become the license holder, the impact on the products distributed, the impact on the KGMP, Korean Good Manufacturing Practice, and the different options available for companies who want to export to Korea. Talking about the definitions, if we look at the regulatory process in other areas such as Europe or US, the Korean license holder is quite the same as a European representative and a US agent. There are some subtle differences, but more or less this is a similar concept. So the license holder is an established place of business in Korea responsible to place the product on the market. It can be involved in the registration of the product, even though that's not always the case. The registration itself can be done by a consultant or even by the distributor. One thing to consider carefully is that the license holder is the owner of the product license. It means that those licenses are in the name of the license holder, even though the manufacturer's name is mentioned on it. This is really something that is very important to know. So what does it imply, this ownership? It implies some legal responsibilities and penalties. So I've added this picture of the jail, but that's really extreme, and in most cases financial penalties would apply, so it could also lead to terminating the business as a license holder, which could have impact on the license holder, of course, and also on the manufacturer, which would not be able to export his product to Korea. The duties. So, what are the duties of the license holder? First one, most important, is the custom clearance. Usually, the license holder is responsible for the clearance when the product arrives in Korea. But, however, one thing to consider is that this clearance and the inspection can also be subcontracted to the distributor, which is often the case. This is more practical and it's usually better and smooth for everybody. So how can this be done? This is simple. This through by means of a contract. So the responsibilities can be then assigned to the distributor for those activities. Another thing to consider, speaking about the duties, is for the license holder to report any design or manufacturing change to the MFDS, the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, like the Ministry of Health. So whenever such change are communicated from the manufacturer, then they must be evaluated based on their impact and then communicated to the MFDS. Also, this triangle, there's another thing to consider, is the post-market. Now, regarding post-market, the channels of communication on this triangle should never be broken. So there should always be a clear visibility and a clear communication. So when we talk about the post-market, it's usually records, adverse events, advisory notice, and all the like. The communication between the manufacturer and the MFDS is very rare, very seldom, but can happen. In most cases, communication is coming from the manufacturer to the license holder and then to the MFDS, and vice versa. Whether it's about any notice to the user coming from the manufacturer or information collected on the field by the MFDS that for which there's an investigation or answer expected from the manufacturer, then all these are coming through the license holder. Now, how to change the license holder? There are two cases to consider. The first one is what I call the cooperative mode. It's the easiest. This is what we want. In such case, then a contract can be established between the former and the new license holder. So in this case, it's the ideal when the former license holder is willing to give all the information and willing to transfer the license and the technical files, etc. Now, on the other hand, then, in a non-cooperative mode, when the former license holder doesn't want to give the information, or worse, than when the license holder disappeared from the radar, then that's really another issue. And then, in such case, then all products have to be registered again, and that's a huge burden for the manufacturer. In the first case, in the cooperative mode, the cycle time for the transfer usually not more than a couple of weeks, maximum 30 days. How to become a license holder? There are two things required, two things very important. First one is to have a place of business in Korea. Now what it means is just to have physical space on Korean territory, a registered place, and the second one is to have a QA manager, quality assurance manager. So this requirement came since July 2014. It was very recent. There's a new requirement, so there should be on the the entity, the license holder, a hired QA manager. What's the impact on KGMP, Korean Good Manufacturing Practice? The KGMP certificate also has to be transferred, a similar way as the product license. This can be done at the same time or after product license transfer. In the second case, when it's after the product license transfer, there is a small fee to be paid, but this is nothing significant. Now there are different options when companies are looking into the Korean market local representation. Three cases. Either the license holder is the distributor, or it's a consulting firm, RS specialists, or it's a subsidiary or a branch established in Korea. The choice between all three really depends on the strategy of the company. But there are different points to consider. The benefits, for instance, when having the distributor being the license holder, is in ease and handling because there's only one party involved for the registration, license holder, sales and marketing. Distributors usually have experience in the registration, even though in most cases they subcontract to the second one, the RS specialist. And the cost also is to be considered because they usually can save some money when then using this distributor. Now the second one, using a RS specialist or consulting firm as a license holder, is benefiting from the experience. So this could be, for instance, the cycle time for registration could be reduced drastically. Then the flexibility by splitting responsibilities between the regulatory and sales and marketing. And the third one is the post-market, because the RS specialist has clearly the experience and competencies in dealing with the post-market. Then the third one, having a branch in Korea, gives also some flexibility and also a better handle on the post-market if people in charge have experience in that field. And the third one, most important, is the ownership, because in this case then is the manufacturer through its branch or subsidiary that has complete ownership on the licenses. So the choice between all three of them really depends on the strategy of the company. So it should be, of course, taken care of carefully, but there's a decision to be taken here. Now, how can Kubrick help in this process? Where are we sitting there? What we want to do is to help people break free from distributors, from the binding. So we said, and that was on the second block, we want to help give more flexibility to the manufacturers by separating the regulatory from the sales and marketing. And also want to make sure, and that will be done in a contract, that we provide all submitted documents whenever there's a registration. So all documents submitted in Korean are then given to the client, and also making sure that any change is possible. So if at any point of time the client is willing to change license holder, we want to make it as easy as possible. So by contract we make sure that this is possible at any point of time. In the future, so we saw that an interesting option is a blend of the second and third option. So that would be having a branch in Korea, but since usually companies have no experience and no limited means to explore the Korean market and options they have on hand, then we want to provide them a one-stop service in order for them to establish a branch in Korea and then become the license holder. So that means having a registered place of business in Korea, and also having a QA manager hired for their needs. So it could be a shared resource between different companies, or it could be a dedicated one depending on the needs. That's it. So thank you for following this presentation. You can find contacts here. Again, my name is Nicholas Clary, signing off from Cobridge Consulting. You can go to our website or call us to get more information. Thank you again.